length. So he's got the DRS, Charlie does, and he opens up the DRS well, and yeah, basically up around the outside. Lovely move. Also, Iron Kid's dropped back now down to 5th. Not sure if there was a bit of contact between them because they've dropped also a bit of ground to that chasing pack. So, yeah, that might suggest there was contact between them, and they have also dropped a lot of ground to Neil, which now puts Neil in the prime driving seat for then a final podium spot here. Right now, it is Aberdorm driving away then from the field. 2.4 seconds is the gap now. And that is the state of play in this race. So Apex says, let's go Lucky Egg and Haas. So point on both of them drivers tonight. So Appledorm currently 2.5 now ahead as he increases and builds that gap all the time in this race. And we are getting probably quite a bit nearer to the pit stop phase. I imagine pit stops probably be around lap 13, lap 15. I imagine that's when we're going to see the first driver off into the pits. Who is going to be first? Not entirely sure, but we'll find out soon enough. And it's going to be Top Car Vlogger. Pulling the trigger very early though. Is that too early? Well, he's certainly going for it. Going for that aggressive strategy then there. I said between lap, obviously, 13 and, lap 15. This is probably about 3-4 laps early than I would have anticipated. 3 cars also have pitted with him. So, yeah. Robbo's gone on to, coming into the pits now, serving a penalty of sorts. I think that'll be at 10 seconds. But yeah, Top Car Vlogger is in for then that 13th, down to 13th. Nagel also followed him in. So a few of them have come in. So let's see if anyone does respond to this then, which has certainly pulled the trigger. Of course, I'm not really looking at the front 2 or the front 3, probably looking more towards the back with this or pack. So looking at Dan, Charlie and Iron Kid and Tom, see if any of them drivers decide to respond and try and cover off that then position. Because, yeah, the only thing and good news for them is Top Car Vlogger has come out in a bit of traffic behind Mufasa. Now, reason that's good, because obviously, okay, should be easy pickings for the Haas driver to some extent, but nonetheless, whether it's easy pickings or not, it still has the chance, as we're seeing here, to hold up and delay and hamper then himself. And Top Car Vlogger already back down to 29 seconds, so I don't necessarily think this is going to be quite the strategy Top Car Vlogger necessarily thought it could have been. We'll see. So Iron Kid and Tom both into the pits. Tom onto hard, Iron Kid onto hard. Iron Kid got the better pit stop, and it's a virtual safety car. Now that benefits the two that I believe have just stopped. I think it has. I think in the end, Top Car Vlogger gets out ahead of then Tom. He does indeed. So he's ahead of the McLaren. So, yeah, when does this virtual safety car end? In fact, I think it might be a full safety car now. I'm not entirely sure, because I think the full safety car is out there. Yeah, it is a full safety car. So this has helped everyone that actually probably hasn't stopped now. Because not only do they have to follow virtual safety car speed, but now they obviously have to, how can I put it? They get a free pit stop effectively, each and every one of them. So yeah, each and every one of them that hasn't stopped gets a free pit stop onto the hards, and that's lovely timing for them for that one. And everyone that did stop, unfortunately, probably going to lose a bit of track position here as well, which is going to be a double whammy. So, stopped clearly at the wrong time they did. The only good news is I don't think it's going to hurt many of them. Maybe Tom might be hurt the most out of this all. Charlie Harris, I think, will gain the most from it. If not, Dan will. So, they all come out back into the race lead. And you can see no real change to the order. Good news actually for Man's Not Bob, and this is really, really good news. He's dodged a bullet there. Because had, let's say, Appledorn, came in and the field was a lot closer bunched together, okay, we would have probably seen potentially Man's Not Bob lose positions to the rest of the grid. So, Man's Not Bob has really dodged a bit of a bullet there, given Appledorn isn't his actual teammate. I think, that's a really, really blessed one in disguise, this safety car. Right, here we go then, for the second time in this race. So, Appledorn currently leads then Bob from Neil in third. Fourth is Dan. Fifth, Charlie Harris. Sixth is Egg. Then Iron Kid seventh. Top Car Vlogger in eighth. 9th is Tom, 10th is Nagel, then 11th is Shippo, 12th is Piano Jam, 13th is Elliot, 14th is Mafasa, 15th is Robbo, LCC is 16th, FCS and Shade, 17th, Brian, 18th, and St. Power currently the only car out of this race. So I believe Appledorn has gone, and we're back to then racing speed here in Texas for the second time tonight, and well, hasn't really made much of a jump on then, well, his teammate for tonight at least, Man's Not Bob then. And well, this means Man's Not Bob is going to be close enough to follow, so is Neil, who's keeping with them, and Neil's pulled away from Dan, who's pulled away from Charlie Harris. So that is the current state of play, and it's another safety car then out in this race, as I believe it might be for Mafasa, or who's out? Yep, it is for Mafasa. So Mafasa out of the race once again. So, is safety car in this lap? Don't think so, so going to be next lap, I believe. So we are back once again to then the racing action for lap 17, and Matt Appledorn gets away once again well. So does Neil and Man's Not Bob for third place. However, Neil might be under a bit of pressure going down the back straight as they do so. Just trying to get the gap to the leader, or sorry, intervals. So we have a better screen of who's who sort of thing, if you get where I'm coming from. So Appledorn right now currently leading the way from Bob by half a second, and then it's Neil in third, who's 1 second further back, but is still far enough ahead probably of Dandan not to be challenged. At least this lap, Dandan does have a time penalty to come his way at the end of the race. This hasn't been a good race for Dandan so far. How does he turn this one around? Currently 24 points trailing in the championship overall. Obviously right now does look like for both Man's Not Bob and Dandan, the championship slightly slipping away from them as Charlie Harris goes around the outside, and this is going to be potentially the loss of 5th place here in the Grand Prix. And for then Dandan, in the end he holds on to 4th, but now he's got Iron Kid pressurising Charlie Harris, which might just relieve a bit of the discomfort and a bit of that sort of turbulence behind him. But in the end they come around final corner, still very close, all bunched up together, these three do, and they've also managed to let Neil just shoot off in the distance and go with the race leaders. And in fact, Neil putting maybe a little bit of pressure onto Bob's shoulders, because Bob is 1.3 seconds behind the race leader, so race leader's already broken that DRS. Unless Bob can get back within the DRS, which he might have just done so, sets the fastest first sector of the Grand Prix. Does he get the DRS? Yes, he does, and therefore that will help him down the back straight here for obviously Appledorn. He hasn't quite broken away then that DRS on this occasion, so will he use any of his battery? He is trying to use some of that battery. In the end, that's going to help Man's Not Bob gain at least half a second, but gone very deep into turn 12, and he's going to again lose a lot of time to the race leader. So gone very deep twice into turn 12, and that, yeah, definitely gonna again fall him back into the Neil's position. Can he though get back within that DRS? Very crucial to stay within that DRS this season in this F1 2024 game. 10 laps to go after this one, and we move on to lap 19 of 28. Neil right now in third, Dandan in fourth, Charlie Harris is in fifth at the moment, trying to chase Dandan, and in the end they're all starting to concertina back together except for the race leader, who's now 1.4 seconds clear off in the distance. Now, can Man's Not Bob do what he done the last time round and get back within that 1 second? If he can, then obviously he will get the DRS again. If he can't, which this time looking a little bit less likely as we go through the final part of this sector, and as we come out the final sector, or final part of that sector, it's back up to 1.3, so he will not get the DRS. Others behind will get the DRS, such as Neil, and Neil very much is within that striking range to make the pass. He's within 0.6 as they come out of turn 11, as they'll go down the back straight into turn 12. So is Neil close enough to try and make the move? I believe Man's Not Bob might be using up some of his energy pack just to try and hold on to second place at the moment for now, and indeed he did, and in the end does get back within under that 1 second, but again is gonna be struggling to be put under pressure by obviously Neil. And Appledorn also doesn't really have to use any more of his battery than he necessarily needs to. Right now it's obviously Bob having to do all the work here over then Appledorn. And again Appledorn breaks the 1 second, but this time doesn't break it enough to obviously not allow Bob any DRS. Bob is going to get some DRS as they go up into turn 1. Crucial for Bob to now try and stick with Appledorn. So, once again, further back, Dandan's just dropping out of that 1 second. 1.2, he's behind now. Neil, can he get in that DRS? If he can, he must do so now. So Charlie Harris gonna be looking at getting past. Then the McLaren driver as soon as possible, but right now it's Neil getting past then second place, and he's going to take second place away from Bob. Both of them got DRS, so it's a pretty even drag fight sort of thing, you know, between the race leaders. And Neil up into second, and surely that's the race win now for Appledorn, unless he makes a key error, which I see very hard happening from there. So for Dandan, he's still fourth. Right now, Dandan is in fourth place ahead of Charlie Harris, ahead of Iron Kid. So he is going to pick up, obviously, DRS, Dandan will, which certainly will help him and aid him down the straight. So he won't get caught this lap for Bob, or for Appledorn. I just feel this is the time now, surely put the nail in the coffin and say, this is my race, come chase me, boys. If you know what I mean. This is surely the lap where you've got to do it. Pull out that 1.7 second advantage, 1.8 second or something, as you go up through the hill, as they wind their way over the crest and down then back towards that back straight. And doesn't really have that though, but Neil hasn't lost too much. I think Neil be in a pretty decent position here to not be caught too badly on this back straight. I feel like Neil went a little bit deep there, so did also Man's Not Bob, and Man's Not Bob going to be under a bit of pressure probably by then the McLaren of Dandan. This is going to be the battle then for fourth place as Dandan goes down the inside at turn number 12, gets the move done. Great move by then Dandan to take that move, or take third place away from then Charlie Harris. And now Man's Not Bob's got 2 cars separating himself and Appledorn here then in this race overall. So yeah, Dandan is then up into third, but does have a time penalty. Man's Not Bob down to fourth. Charlie Harris in fifth. Then Iron Kid 6th at the moment. Top Car Flogger is behind in 7th, ahead of Elliot, and Tom is right now leading his own little train. Here then we go. Again, is Charlie Harris going to be close enough? He's certainly looking around, darting around, almost dancing in his rear view mirrors he will be. Almost making a bit of contact though with the rear tyre of then Man's Not Bob. So Bob then lap then 22, still behind right now. Obviously Appledorn opening up that gap once again, and it's now 1.6 is the advantage to Appledorn's favour. Right now though, he's in a very comfortable position. Just got to once again try and cruise home to the finish ahead of Neil, and the win will be his. Another victory coming his way. And the good news for, obviously, as well for Appledorn, he will not have lost too many points, I don't think, today. Who's got the fastest lap? Let's have a look. Right now that does stick with then obviously Bob, so might just lose the 1 point, actually, 1 or 2 points to Bob today, but that's it. I mean, you've got 5 rounds to go and a 51 or 52 point advantage over, maybe, I'm not saying is your main championship rival, that would be disrespectful to Dandan, because technically he is the main championship challenger at the current moment. However, I just feel Man's Not Bob's overall peak performance so far looks better. So for Bob, whilst he doesn't, well, he's had a very good race and weekend, but just not converting it again into the victory. And for Bob, it's going to be another loss of points. for these, for himself, pretty much here today. Obviously, if this was main race and there was no sprint, then yeah, it'd be a bit of a different story, I believe. But I believe there is a sprint. Well, it is a sprint weekend, so it does create a different dynamics. So Neil looking a little bit under pressure this time around. Might be a little bit at threat of being overtaken by Dandan. Let's keep an eye on this. I think he is going to be. Dandan got a brilliant exit out of that corner of turn number 11. And DRS active. There we go. Makes pass very simply. And up into second then is Dandan. But goes off the track. He does at turn 12. So went a little bit deep. So, right next to your championship, leaders 1 and 2 at the moment in the current race. Neil third, Bob third, fourth, sorry, Harris fourth, fifth, Ironkid sixth. Top Car Flogger doing another good job for Haas as well, can't be denied. In 7th, yes, not quite up there with the front runners, but still almighty points, or almighty haul of points coming his way in the end today. So lap 24, 5 laps to go. And as I said, this race is looking rather and truly now over. Peter Van Lent, come on Apeldoorn. So Apeldoorn supporters are in the house clearly tonight, and this will be, if Apeldoorn can get it done, 2 back-to-back race victories once again this season. So it'll be another victory coming his way this season overall, and it'll be his 5th victory, which means if he gets one more, technically he will have majority of the victories this season overall, and I don't believe anyone would then be able to surpass him, because there would only be only if he wins after next race, there would be no one to surpass him, because there'd be 4 races up for grabs, and only therefore but maximum 7-5 victory to Apeldoorn in the number of race victories. So yeah, certainly right now for Apeldoorn, he's at least taken a minority of victories, you can say, overall, if you get where I'm coming from, because it'd be a minority less than 50%, so it wouldn't be that regards. But yeah, nonetheless, it's all about points that matter in the end in a championship, not about how many victories you take. I remember 2016 as, is that Bob going off the track? It is Bob going off the track, and Bob, well, if his championship chances didn't come to an end in Singapore, they might have just come falling down now. And yeah, that is a right shame for then Bob, who's lost all that time, all that position. He's gone off the track. Not exactly sure what happened, what occurred, but he just went off the track there. And he's also picked up a 3-second penalty, which is a damn right shame for him in this battle for third. Now, can he get back onto maybe the back of Ironkid and maybe make the pass, get at least 5th? I think getting maybe Charlie Harris for 4th would be a bit too much to ask, and I think also Dandan looking a lot better now for at least a podium chance here, potentially, as we see then the 2 Red Bulls fight out with the McLaren of then Dandan. Of course, Charlie Harris isn't a Red Bull driver, he's a Sauber driver in a Red Bull tonight. So is Apeldoorn a Haas driver in a Aston Martin. But nonetheless, those other teams they're somehow driving for. Not sure why or what happened or occurred. And it's Dandan who's been spun around. Dandan is spun around, but he manages to rejoin the race ahead of then, well, man's not Bob. Doesn't lose too much time to Ironkid. Ironkid still gives him a bit of DRS to help him drag himself down the straight, and still also is 1 second over a second clear of then Bob then there. 2-3 laps to go then. It's all kicking off. Charlie Harris up onto the podium. Neil onto the podium. Right now, Neil holding on to second place, but seems to be causing a bit of a, how can you put it, a cork in a bottle sort of moment. If you can clear him, you might probably be able to pull off into the distance. Does look like he's causing this train, which is putting everyone else under a bit of pressure in terms of to make the move or to be passed sort of a type scenario. Nonetheless, for Appledorn, he's just clearing off up the road into the distance. Once again, Charlie Harris, though, is going to be clearing up into the road, up into second place and ahead of the other Red Bull, and takes in second place off then Neil for now. Now, how does that change anything? Does it mean now Neil has to try and hold on to third rather than try and make the pass for second? It might be his better chance of sticking on the podium here for Neil, and it will be a good one if he does get podium today for himself. Let's see if he can. The three drivers behind all have time penalties, which are going to hurt their races anyway. As we go then on to the penultimate lap, lap 27 of then 28. Right now, Charlie Harris heads Neil, who heads Iron Kid. But the three drivers, as I said, behind all have penalties. So there is no question and dispute there in terms of their penalty status. Ultimately, Top Car Vlogger also, if he can just gain another second, he might have a chance of sneaking in a 6th place here if he could. But I don't know whether that's too much to ask for the other Haas driver. We'll have to wait and see. Right now, for Appledorn, 4.2 seconds is his gap. So he's very much comfortably out in front. Now, does he have a cheeky attempt at fastest lap? Right now, fastest lap has gone to also FCS and Shade. So in the end there, that probably might not be beatable, the 135.0. I think the 135.0 is probably a bit out of reach for then Appledorn. We'll have to wait and see, unless he's been saving those hard compound tyres for the last, well, what is it, 15 laps now? Probably about 11 racing laps he's had them on for, or maybe about 9, I don't know. But enough to have degraded away from him at this stage of the race. By now you'd have thought. So Neil still looking good for a podium. In fact, looking better than ever, you'd have to say. So for the two Red Bulls at least, even though one of them is meant to be a Sauber and the other driver up front meant to be a Haas. Well, for Charlie and Appledorn, it's going to be a 1-2 at the moment, unless Neil has anything to say about it. But where does Neil make the pass? Probably the best chance of that pass is from turn 11 down into turn 12, sticks behind. And Charlie Harris for now. Probably Charlie Harris knows what's coming here. So what can he do to try and stop that from happening? So Charlie Harris is right now in second place and is looking like he's probably going to get past it for what will be second. Neil looking likely going to be on the podium tonight, at least. Bob off the track again, so that's surely Bob's chance of finishing inside the top 5 gone. And there we go, here's Neil, goes for the overtake. Is Charlie Harris going to hang on? He's gone late, both of them's gone late. Surely Neil's got to give the position back to Charlie Harris. A little bit of contact, more contact between the Red Bull. I think in the end this might go to the stewards, that might, because I think Neil should have handed back the position there. But in the end, does Charlie Harris manage to get position? Dandan almost spun out of the control. It's going to allow Iron Kid to go through. Dandan loses the position to Iron Kid. So Iron Kid going to finish in third. In the end, I think Neil should have given that position back. Appledorn crosses the line, take the victory. 5 seconds clear of Neil. Neil comes home second. Third, Charlie Harris. Fourth, Iron Kid. Fifth is then Dandan. No, sorry, fifth is Bob. Dandan is in sixth. Top Car Vlogger sixth. Ahead of Dandan. Wow, Dandan really had a lot of penalties. Does Elliot get ahead of him? No. In the end, Elliot gonna not even get ahead of Shippo. I think he had a lot of penalties too. So Shippo then in 8th, Robbo 9th, Piano Jam 10th, Hasnagel is 11th. Elliot holds on then to 12th, Tom crosses line 13th, FCS and Shade coming around the final few corners now to take 14th on the road. Across the line, there we go. And LCC, in fact, might get ahead of FCS and Shade for 14th. Yes, he is, and so is Lucky Egg. FCS and Shade, sorry, no. It hangs on to 15th, LCC 16th. Too many penalties, guys. And it is going to be Brian in 17th, rounding off the back of the grid. So, that's been today's race then for today. And he takes the top step then once again, Appledorn, for a 5th time this season. So it's 5 out of 7 for the Haas man, even though he is in Aston Martin tonight. So Appledorn takes victory from Neil, from Charlie Harris in 3rd then. 4th is Ironkid. 5th is Manzanar Bob. 6th is Top Car Vlogger. 7th is Danlan. 8th is Shippo. Then 9th is Robbo. 10th, we've got Piano Jam. 11th, we've got Hasnagel. Outside the top, then 11, we've got Elliot from Tom, then Egg, and then FCS and Shade, LCC in 16th. 17th, we've got Brian. 18th, we've got Mafasa, who's out, and same for St. Power. If you have enjoyed today's stream, please like and share. See you all next time.